Hi Scorpio, welcome to your deep love read for September 2020. These are general messages, guys. Take what resonates throughout the rest and don't try to make it fit. Remember, you want to check your rising sign, moon sign, and Venus sign. So we're going to start off with a yes-no question. So you're going to try to formulate a question that would require a yes, no, or maybe answer in your mind. Please ask it the same way, full sentence format, 3 times consecutively in a row. So we're going to pull 3 cards for that to come up with an answer and then qualifiers for that. Make sure you're very relaxed, Scorpio, okay? Relax your shoulders. Nice deep belly breath. Fill your belly with air. Drop your shoulders and focus on the cards as you ask the same question 3 times. You. Death card is first, Scorpio. That's no. Second card is the 4 of Cups. 4 of Cups is a neutral card. And then we have the Magician, which is a yes card. So the answer is yes, not yet, and it's going to require work. It's going to require a lot of work. Okay? Yeah, 1 of each here. Interesting. First reading like that today. Okay. Okay. I'll pull these up as I read them, okay? So we have the Death card, which is about an ending and a beginning simultaneously to Scorpio energy. It's ruled by Pluto. Scorpio is the landlord of the 8th house of transformation, and it's important to understand that house as a house where we show up with other, right? It's how we show up in a relationship, how we share our resources, share communication, share intimacy, how we're able to share. It's the house where we meet endings and allow beginnings, right? And where we allow that transformation. So definitely something is ending the way it was. Like there was some sort of cycle that was going on in your relationship. This could be, let's say, if you're single now, right? And you don't want to be single anymore. This could be if something was going on in a relationship that was just really not good and you guys were in a weird cycle. That cycle's done, right? If you are in a space where perhaps you guys ended things, maybe there was an ending here that was experienced. But let's continue reading. We have the 8 of Swords as well as the 9 of Wands. Interesting energies to get together because the 8 of Swords is all about feeling like you don't belong anymore. Really is. It's like I always say, it's like you have your shoes on the wrong feet in this energy. It's Jupiter and Gemini, and it's Jupiter expands whatever it's in, and you can't escape these thoughts anymore of this idea of feeling self-imprisoned in a situation. And it's really incited because something is going on and you're experiencing something within the dynamic of the relationship. There's been a shift in the paradigm of the relationship where you just don't feel like things are the same anymore, and you're feeling differently. But then we have the 9 of Wands, and even though you're feeling differently, you still have fire in your belly left for them. So things might have changed, things might have shifted in a different direction, but regardless of whatever it is, that cycle needs to go. The 9 of Wands is, man, have I been through a lot in this relationship. I have the bumps and bruises to prove it, but I still have fire in my belly. The 9 of Wands is actually a power card. It really is. It's Moon in Sagittarius. Moon, as I feel, Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. It's about moving forward with integrity. So even though something feels differently to you, and even though you know that there's a cycle over, you still want to be in this, is what I'm sensing, Scorpio, even though things seem different. Now, your feelings might be totally the same, but they might feel they might seem different to you. Do you know what I mean? Or you guys are needing to deal with a situation that's very just different than what you were dealing with. Now, for those of you who are single, this is you saying, all right, you know what? Being single, not so great. I allowed myself the reprieve for a while. I worked on myself. I did what I have to do. I did what I had to do. But now it's time for me to meet somebody, because I just don't feel like I belong in the life that I've created for myself at this point anymore as a single person. Like, I did a lot of wonderful things, but it's time for me to really share myself with someone. And I want to share myself with somebody that I feel very passionate about. So that could certainly be how it would show up for a single person, for those of you in the single space. So now we talk about this neutral card, the Four of Cups. Why is it neutral? Well, I have to explain what the Four of Cups is in order for you to understand why it's neutral. I always call this the checklist card. And it's like, I don't like when they do A, B, and C in this relationship. And when they do D, E, and F, I can't stand it. And this is like, there's this inherent like disappointment and disillusionment in something not going the way that you really thought it was going to go within the relationship. But what you need to understand here is a couple of things. One, you may not have been as ready for this level of a relationship as you really thought you were. So you really have to get in touch with your own energy and asking yourself, I want to be with somebody. I don't like being lonely. I like having a partner. I like having intimacy. I like having those things. But being fully ready for a relationship is about more than that. It's really about allowing ourselves to be seen 100%, warts and all, and really allowing ourselves to be every kind of vulnerable. And it's not always very easy, especially if like there's any sort of anxiety or fears hanging out. So there are a bunch of reasons why we may not be ready to do that. It's also, it doesn't have to be that. It could be that, and or it could also be what you're identifying within the relationship is pushing buttons in you that are poking at scars in you that were formed in another situation that were never fully healed. So, the example I like to give is like, let's say you expect somebody to call you a certain amount a day or text you, whatever, however you choose to communicate, and they don't. And so, but they say when they speak to you, everything's fine, whatever, but you need more contact, right? You need more contact than that. So you're like, I can't deal with the fact that they're just not as communicative as I need them to be, right? Totally valid, like, right? In your mind, you're like, no, this is not the way I think it should be. But what's really under that is less that they're not communicating with you, and is really the idea that you feel devalued. You don't feel like you matter enough. If they don't think about you enough to actually reach out to you more, that, and I'm giving this as a very basic mundane example, but that's an example. Or if somebody, all they want to do is argue, or if they never want to argue and they want to always push something underneath the rug, and that drives you crazy, right? Because you're like, how can we have resolution that way? You have to look at what is that really pulling up in you. Yeah, on its face, it's an issue, but what is it pulling up in you? What did you see in the way of resolution when you were a kid? When your parents argued, did you see resolution? Was there violence in your home without resolution? Type of thing? Or it didn't even have to be your parents. It could have just been anybody who was, had a deep impact on you. But it's all those things. And the reason I'm going on about it is because that's why it's a neutral energy. It's a neutral energy because on the surface, something is really bothering you. And that could be very real. Or it could be bothering them, right? The energies could always be vice versa. So you might be needing to deal with a partner who's going through this. But at the end of the day, if there's a realization of why you actually really are bothered by something and you're able to communicate it, then it could have a positive outcome. If you're not self-aware, or they're not self-aware enough to be able to get in touch with what it is really underneath all of the nonsense that's really hurting you, bothering you, or getting in the way, and it's not communicated, then it's going to be more of a no kind of thing, right? So what do we need to help you here? We need the Queen of Wands, we need the Ace of Pentacles. So the Queen of Wands is a Pisces and Aries energy. And see, now I feel like this is actually not even really going to help you all that much, the Queen of Wands, to be honest, because it's Pisces, which is all about dreams, and you're dreaming about going on a new path and creating a new path and really inciting this brand new connection. Now we could say on its face, oh, that's fabulous, right? But you have to make sure you deal with the Four of Cups energy, whether it's you or whether it's your partner. So, because the desire here is to have a new beginning, I feel like this, within this connection, if this is a connection. I'll talk about if you're single in a second. But if this is a connection, there is this feeling of disappointment But yet you want to have this new beginning. You want to have this new mental, physical, emotional connection that you feel very passionate about, where you're going towards your dream. It's almost like a very sort of going towards your fantasy and what's happening in your mind's eye as far as a relationship goes. But you have to understand that there are real things happening in this relationship that need to be called out. And if those things are not called out and they don't have some light shown on them, then it's not going to be able to work. Whether it's your stuff, their stuff, or a little bit of both. You can't just create a cycle where it's like, it's over, oh, but I miss you, right? And Scorpio, let's be real, you guys rule sex, right? You guys are very seductive, right? And you don't want to be like, let's go do a little something, something, instead of talking about the uncomfortable stuff. You know what I mean? It can very easily happen like that. Also, what can very easily happen here is you get very caught up in the romance of something, right? And where the uncomfortable stuff is not addressed. But you really need to dig into that Pluto, right? You're into your ruler and really dig down. I mean, you guys are really good at doing that. But if you're not with an energy who's willing to do that with you, that's going to be really difficult. Do you understand what I'm saying? You can't create a cycle where it's remaining on the surface. There needs to be some digging here, and I don't see that there's going to be digging. So this is why we say this is more of a hypothesis. This is not prescriptive. These are recommendations. This is the energy that's available to you. So take it and run with it. Like, if you feel like you guys are having a conversation, if you're in a relationship and people are, you, them, whoever, a little bit of both of you, are saying, I don't like this, this, and this, you guys need to talk a little more deeply about that, is what I'm seeing here. Now, if you're single, right, and you're making this decision that you're definitely going to get involved in another or in a relationship, whatever it is, you want to make sure that you're really ready, and you want it, because the Four of Cups energy is the type of energy where it's like the perfect person can come along and be right in your face, and you could just be like, I wonder if I'm ever going to meet the right person. Meanwhile, they're right in front of you. All right. And it's because we can get very tripped up in this checklist. And the checklist is always derived from past stuff. Okay, fine, right? And but I do like that you have this Ace of Pentacles and this Queen of Wands. Just be super mindful if you're single, if you're getting into something, that you don't hold too quickly and too tightly to that checklist. Because if your question was, am I going to meet somebody? The answer here is yes, but how well will it go it's very dependent on this central card. This Four of Cups energy is really going to be driving a lot of how this is going to go for you guys. And we have the Magician. So Magician is Mercury. Mercury rules the third house of communication and the sixth house of health, right? Third house is Gemini, sixth house is Virgo. So this has to do with the need to learn a new approach, right? The Mercury rules third house communication. Again, Gemini is the student. It's about learning something new. It's about communication. It's about communicating in a new way that's going to incite some sort of benefit onto your sixth house, which is your day-to-day. It's your mental, physical, and emotional health. It's the health of your relationship as well, right? And how you feel and how you show up in relationship, right, together in your day-to-day, right? Because this Mercury is very much a day-to-day energy. So again, it's an alchemical card, so it's about combining things. It's about understanding that something needs to be learned, that needs to be a new way of communicating and just being, and a new way of connecting. As we have the Page of Wands and we have the Hangman. So right now we have the Hangman as a Neptune energy, and Neptune's like, I don't know what's really going on. It's very confusing. I always say it's like trying to look at reality through like a thick fog. It's like, kind of make it out, but I'm not sure, so I'm just not going to do anything for a minute, right? I mean, that really is the Hangman, is like hanging upside down and just looking at everything in a state of like, I'm not sure. But you want to make sure that you don't incite any sort of like analysis paralysis there. We don't overthink something. Then we have the Page of Wands. So the page always comes in and makes these announcements, right? And so wands are will and motivation and passion. And it's about this, definitely could be a proclamation, right? About how somebody really feels, and I want to do this the right way this time. And this is, I feel like this is how I want to be. But yet there's this trepidation, right? Because the Hangman, again, with Neptune, it's not that you don't want, it's just that you don't know. And a lot of everybody's in Neptune energy right now, in my opinion. Right? I mean, we have 5 planets retrograde right now. Everybody's going to start unknotting themselves, right? Starting in September, Jupiter, thank God, on the 12th is going to start bringing some nice Jupiterian blessings that we've all been waiting for. But you don't know yet. You really don't know. So I definitely see there being this needing to learn something new when it comes to relationships. I definitely see there's passion hanging out here. There's no question. But I also do see that there's still going to be a little confusion regarding whatever connection this is. So I think that kind of lines up with the fact that we got a no. We got a no, a neutral, and a yes. So yeah. It's not yet, and it's not without work, and that's the thing, all right? So let's pull some Lenormand. And I always say, you know, guys, you know, energetic beings. I could tell you what the energy is going to be bringing us. You can choose not to engage. The benefit of understanding the energies, though, is that if it's a good energy and we want to engage, or even if it's a not so great energy, if we want to be able to just stay to ourselves and sit it out, you know, we have more control than we think. Okay, Norman, something is eating at you, eating at you, eating at you. Communication coming in. This is good communication, though. This is like good gossip. Can literally be coming in the form, literally, of tweets, social media, anchor. What do you need? What do you need to stay grounded? Oh, we got the cross. Okay, we gotta talk about that for a second. And we have time. Very aware of time. Feeling very aware of time right now. So the mice, it does indicate, it could be somebody siphoning money away from you, which you're vibing and you're very uncomfortable with in the relationship, or feeling like every time you try to get ahead financially within the relationship, something else comes up and you know, having to do with the relationship, and it ends up sort of like siphoning money out. But it really can indicate, I am feeling more like, feeling something is very, very much gnawing at you. Now there's some sort of message that's going to be coming in that you need to pay attention to, because it's going to have to do with how well or how effectively you can end up feeling very grounded and rooted in something. Now, we have this idea of the cross. So the cross is a very, very much like a Christ-like card, where, you know, Christ carried the cross and then was nailed to the cross for our sin. So it was bearing, he needed to bear the cost of our sins, right? So it's like you being on the receiving end, Scorpio, of somebody else's poor behavior, or it could be vice versa, them being on the receiving end of your poor behavior. All you guys are going to know, right? It's going to be something different for each of you because it's a general reading, but that's what this energy means. And that there needs to be a release, and there needs to be a getting your ducks in a row kind of thing. And this is also about redemption, though, and recognizing that you've been carrying the burdens of somebody else, or they've been carrying the burdens of something that's been going on with you, and there's a need for redemption. But the clock is ticking. So there is a time element here, that if there is not communication here, there's no way that you guys can have this grounding, because time is an issue with whatever is going on here. But it's gnawing at you. So I feel communication is very important, to either address it, call it out, figure out if there could be some sort of redemption here. But there's got to be this, all right, look, this could show up a million ways, right? I mean, for example, I try to give examples, whatever, but let's say you're in a connection where maybe your partner struggles with depression and anxiety and a number of things that they struggle with. They're real struggles. But maybe they didn't want to embrace these things, right, as much as maybe you thought they should, or maybe as much as they could have. And it ended up negatively impacting the relationship in a pretty profound way. But you still love them, right? So it's like this time element is like, all right, are you going to address this issue so that we can redeem what's left of the relationship and move forward and have an anchored kind of life? You know, are we going to be able to do that? It's just an example. Somebody doing something having to do with work. Maybe somebody is not working and you're having to carry the brunt of the weight of the finances, or maybe, you know, vice versa, whatever it is. And they're just needing to be this redemption and this recognition of something that's being called out, whatever it is. But time is an issue here. So let's see. In the past, we have the Magician. Present, we have the Six of Cups. Challenge, we have the Ace of Wands. In the future, we have the Page of Swords. Okay, so yeah, I mean, we have this Magician energy. Again, I already discussed this. This has to do with the Mercury energy. So in the past, there was trying to make something work, Scorpio, right? Like you guys were brainstorming, trying to figure out how to make the relationship work, even whether if you're together. If you're not together, you guys could have been in this space separately where you're like, well, you know, in order for the relationship to work, I would need to do that and they would need to do that. And I just don't know. And, you know, and really trying to figure out, right? Trying to figure out who would need to learn how to do what and how would this impact the mental, physical, and emotional connection in that sixth house, and, you know, how would all of that go? Right now we have the Six of Cups energy, so this does indicate this is a really beautiful energy. First of all, it's a Sun in Scorpio, and it's reconnecting to your past. So we have this under the social media. So I mean, some of you may be connecting with somebody from your past via social media. Some of you may be reconnect. This can be a reconnection energy, but it's the need to make a decision whether you want to actually reconnect with somebody who you've ended things with. This could also mean that for the time you just really focus on visiting with old friends, just, you know, finding the child in you. And, you know, keep in mind, Venus is in Leo for most of the month. I think like 6th, 7th, it goes from Cancer into Leo. So you're going to be tapping into those childlike tendencies anyway, having to do with Venus this month, but can definitely be a reconnection. Now, the challenge here is going to be a brand new beginning, Ace of Wands. Now, if you were in a relationship and that energy is still on your soul and you're trying to end that, to create a new something for yourself, maybe you're meeting somebody new on social media, it's going to be a serious challenge for you to feel very passionate and excited about moving forward, because there's something that you have not finished up from this past kind of situation. If you're not resonating with it like this, that, and you're resonating with it more like you guys are broken up, you still know you have strong feelings for each other, but this new beginning is going to be a challenge. And it could be because whatever happened in the previous inception of your relationship has not been completely rectified and fixed, so to say. You know, it's very hard to go in and sweep the decks clean and say the past is the past, let's just leave it there and move forward. It's very nice in theory, but when you get into the day-to-day of relationship and these scars and these wounds that were created in the first go-around or the first 10 go-arounds start getting woken up again, it's really challenging to navigate those, right? So that could certainly be this, where there is a reconciliation, but the challenge is in really keeping the past in the past. It's hard, you know, it really is hard. But then we have the Page of Swords, which indicates a new information coming in, epiphanies, ideas, you know, these realizations coming in. I feel like I need to pull another card on that. The Hermit energy. This can mean a couple of things, so let's pull one more. The Four of Cups. One more. And the Moon. We have a lot of introspective energy here, my friends. We really, really do. I mean, the Hermit is a very introspective energy. It can mean going it alone, but can also mean very strongly focusing on trying to work on your relationship in private, alone. But with the Four of Cups energy, it is that idea of not being as ready maybe as you thought for the relationship, or really identifying A, B, and C that you really don't want to get involved with. And then we have the idea of the Moon. So how some of you are going to be relating to this is, let's say you were in a relationship, it ended, you're meeting somebody new, you're having a really hard time giving 100% to that new connection. And you're realizing it's because you need to be alone for a minute, and you're going to pick at things in this current relationship only because you're really not as ready as you think you are. Right? Because you really want to sort of be in the Hermit and the Moon energy. These are very introspective, healing energies. It's really thinking things through, and it's really understanding how you feel about a situation. But you know, it's the kind of thing where it's like, if something didn't work out and you're trying to move on, it makes sense to try to meet somebody else, right? It makes sense. But then a lot of times what happens there is we meet this next energy and we're not as ready as we thought we were. We're like almost doing it because we feel like we sort of have to, kind of like we sort of feel like we owe it to ourselves, or maybe they've moved on with somebody, right? And so you're in this space, but then you get into it and it's almost unfair to you and to them because you're not 100% in it, like emotionally and energetically, because you're still dealing with washing the other person off your soul. And it's sort of like you sort of feeling caught between things. And really what is indicated here is you do need to take some time here to heal, all right? So I do feel for those of you who are in that space. And for those of you who are in relationship energy, there does need to be this sort of communication, there's no question. But it's a matter of not being too introspective about it, because if you are, you're going to get nowhere fast. 4 of Cups, deeply introspective, not being 100% honest with oneself. We have the Moon, it's all about I feel, I think, and being very sort of secretive about it. And the Hermit is going off into your own space and doing some solid thinking. So it's like a lot of realizations are happening here. So that could be really good, depending on your situation, or maybe challenging, where you want to make sure you're not closing yourself off from somebody. So you're going to resonate with it very differently depending on your particular situation, right? I mean, everybody's different, but that is what the energies do indicate. Okay, so call a couple of my my homemade oracles. My lame little homemade oracles. Don't make fun of them. I'm now feeling the fallout of my actions. I'm not the person you remember. You are not good for me, yet I yearn for you constantly. I need to think about this. Chaser in a codependent relationship, fear of abandonment. Camera, reminiscing, keepsake, perception, learning from the past to make memories. Separation, sadness, missing you, thinking about you, yearning, unsure of future. We have 2 yearning energies here. Unsure of future. So there's regret here, and somebody seems to have changed. Yet there's this feeling like this connection was not healthy. 7 of Cups, confusion, judgment. 3 of Cups, healing. It's a lot of healing here. Judgment is healing and 3 of Cups is healing. And it doesn't necessarily mean, like the 3 of Cups could be something ended and you're going and hanging out with your girls or your family or your guys or, you know, whoever, you know, is your tribe. And recognizing that, you know, there's something that you need to heal. There's a healing element about the 3 of Cups. And judgment is about healing too. Judgment is needing to make the decision to forgive. It doesn't mean you're forgetting. It doesn't mean it's a form of self-love. It's understanding that you did the best that you knew how in the situation that you were in, not beating yourself up at all, or anymore, depending. Everybody did the best they knew how at the moment, at the time. You don't have to agree or like what the person did. You may not be super proud of what you did, but given that moment in time, right? I always say, if all you have in your toolbox is a hammer, you're going to treat everything like a nail. So if you did the best you knew how. But there's confusion still about this relationship. 7 of Cups. You know what's in 5 of the Cups. You don't know what's in 2. So let's see what energy. And you want to pay attention. You feel like you have choices, but not everything is going to be very clear right now. Lack of clarity. Okay, let's see what energy you need to tap into to help you get out of this energy. Ooh, semi-sextile, allowing, encourages, sees the potential in, clarifies, gives hope to, compensates, intuits, tempers, responds, cycles, growth, realizes, rewards. That's what a semi-sextile is. Semi-sextile is an interesting energy in astrology because it creates a tension between two planets, right? That is easy to ignore because it's not super earth-shattering like an earthquake or a flood or something major like that. But it's insidious enough that it will over time, if you don't deal with it, just become deeper, bigger, and grow fangs, right? So it's really about stopping it there and realizing that something needs to be acted on and not just thought about. So this is encouraging, allowing, seeing the potential in something, clarifying, giving hope to. And guys, this is whether you end up back together or not. There just needs to be, I feel like, some clarity here, even for just healing and moving on. However it ends up, it's going to be different for each of you. All right, my friends, that is what I have. I hope this was helpful in some way. See you guys in a few days, probably to do this second week of November. Listen to me. Wishful thinking. Things will definitely start going a little better in November for the second week of September. Thank you so much. See you then. Bye-bye.